and where we are trading right now at the high point of the day. The highlight is the Nifty. Never mind what's happened to the mid-cap and the small-cap indices. They'll come up on your screen as well. But just the resilience that the Indian markets have shown today is pretty strong. Get up the mid-caps and the small-caps also. Down about 0.5% for the mid-cap space. They'll probably start moving around on Monday. Small-caps, flattish really. But the highlight is the Nifty, as I said. And pull up the heat map on the Nifty just to show you what's really moving in trade today. And then we'll of course talk about the recovery as well. So HDFC Bank being up 2% is your principal contributor. There is a call given by multiple people in the last 2 or 3 sessions on the channel of going long on HDFC Bank. That one is certainly piling on the weight. There is strength in Bajaj Finance, but more importantly, Bharti Airtel, another 2% up for this one. It's had a really strong week, this one. Much as people have spoken about piling on into Vodafone, Bharti Airtel has come up smelling like roses really out of what's really happening to Vodafone, I presume. Bajaj Finserv, Bajaj Finance doing well. There is strength in Maruti. Wipro ahead of the numbers is up about a couple of percentage points, quite unlike what Infosys was doing ahead of the numbers, must say. So that's the long and short of what's really gained in the session today, including an ITC, Adani Port and HUL. So FMCG not doing too badly ahead of results next week. What's not done well? Some bit of stick for Bajaj Auto, though much better than what it was trading for a better part of the day. HCL Tech slightly under pressure. Autos per se have taken a bit of a back seat. So clearly, save for Infi, IT is doing well. Ahead of results, FMCG seems to be doing well. And a lot of high beta names and heavyweight names like HDFC Bank trading in the green. Not to take away from the fact that mid caps and small caps have specific movers, Tamanna, but the highlight is the resilience of the benchmark. I would say it's astonishing considering the kind of bearish sentiment we were seeing at open, and perhaps some of those comments with Iran and Israel both trying to pull back has helped global markets and helped the mood. But in any case, you are seeing a market that is consistently trying to prop up and buy on dips. Not so much of a recovery on the small cap and the mid cap, but relatively, yes, if you're seeing these indices in the green, then believe you me, it's much better than it could have been. Specific stocks that we're seeing really popping in trade today, Just Dial for a second consecutive day. It already responded positively to its numbers yesterday, but you're seeing it uptick once again despite a City note which is not that enthusiastic about Just Dial, mind you, but the stock about 4.5% up. Elecon Engineering is the other one. Numbers out, good numbers, about 50% plus, 52% up on the net profit year on year, but they've also announced a stock split of 1:2, so that's a stock in focus, 9% up this afternoon. Motilal Oswal has sent a message to the exchanges saying that they will be considering bonus shares. That stock has seen a smart up move. Now, Indus Towers has been in focus for various reasons. Of course, if you want to actually do the Vodafone play, then Indus Towers seems like a great bet, 2.5% up. But they're also, have announced that they've signed an MOU with NTPC. So that's why you've seen Indus Tower definitely in focus. On the downside or on the sell side, I would say Tata Comms continues to suffer. Second consecutive trading day in a row, Tata Comms is suffering 5% down. Spark again another 5% down. We should in fact pull up the chart of what's happening with Spark in the last 1 week if we can very quickly. I mean that stock is just completely plummeted day after day after day. It has been on the lower circuit. So we'll try and get you broader detail of what's been happening with Spark. But those are really some of the names that are standing out. But as Tamanna and me said, that the story, whether you call it astonishing, whether you call it resilience or both or more, is what's happening to the benchmark indices. Nagaraj Shetty of HDFC Securities with us to talk about this and more. Nagaraj, good having you. Thanks for taking the time out. Are you? Good afternoon, of course. Did this surprise you, the strength on the Nifty and the Sensex? And what does that mean for trades? Because this 22,000 on the call side was such a strong, high OI number. It would have been a difficult resistance to break, and we kind of done that.
Yeah, of course, rightly said, because the Nifty, we have seen a sharp decline after that phenomenal upside bounce from the lower levels. I'm expecting the pattern that has formed technically in today's session so far is encouraging for the bulls to make a comeback. I'm expecting the low of today around 21,770 odd levels is going to be a short-term bottom level reversal, and upside momentum is likely to continue for the Nifty from here on, and 22,500, which is the next set of resistance, is going to be the short-term target. Today's pattern is almost now need to market need to close for the today to gain the pattern, but that looks like a bullish piercing line pattern, which is a bottom reversal. I'm expecting Nifty to show some upside momentum from here onwards.
Okay, so how do you play that momentum, Nagaraj? Would you trade the index itself, or would you trade specific stocks?
Yeah, I have two stocks for this show, and even if anyone wants to trade in the index, I think it is good to buy at this point of time. Any intraday dips towards the close 30, 40, 50 points dip in the Nifty is going to be a buy and dips opportunity certainly, and I'm expecting this short-term upside momentum to continue. I have two picks from the broader markets. Niraj, we have seen some good upside momentum in the broader market. Broader markets have outperformed the benchmark Nifty recently, and this upside momentum is likely to continue in mid-cap and small-cap segments. I have a couple of stocks.
We seem to have lost that line with Nagaraj, and right at the point where you're saying, I have some stocks, and going to continue that sentence, but we'll bring him back and get that suspense out of the way. And the fact is that if you look at that intraday Nifty chart, it's really showing you what the story of the day has been. And time and again, I was looking at this quote from Devina Mehra. She tweeted out today saying that when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out, she stuck her neck out and said geopolitical factors have a sharp but short impact, and the recovery is quick. And we've seen that time and again, even through this. I'm not to say that everything's fine in the Middle East and it's over. I mean, that's a decades-old conflict. But the way you've seen markets just scrambling for any positive cue is telling you a lot today. I think definitely you will see that, position being built in ahead of big numbers. I think the focus, once this is out of the way, moves to the big numbers, doesn't it?
Yeah. And as you were saying yesterday, Tamanna, thus far, save for IT, which was expected to not be that great, the numbers haven't really disappointed, and it'll be imperative upon some of the consumer-facing companies and some of the economy-facing companies to come out with good numbers. So I think we'll watch out for that. But let's wait and watch. It's a packed week next week, by the way. So what trades you take today have a big impact or big bearing on what happens the whole of next week for you, considering that it's an event-heavy week with a lot of results, particularly on the consumption side. From HUL to Tata Consumer, 3 or 4 Nifty names and some others come out with numbers. So I think it's going to be a very, very interesting week for sure.
Even some of the smaller companies, we were talking about an Elon. That's a strong set of numbers on the face of it, an Elon Engineering. And of course, you're seeing that spike also because of the stock split, etc. But solid numbers coming in here. Even a Just Dial, second day on a trot. You have the sense that Q4 has largely been good. It's largely been positive, of course, for a few spots. I would be very keen to know what your consumer companies and your FMCG companies are doing next week, because then that's the big question, isn't it? Is this still a K-shaped recovery, or what exactly is happening here? Well, we've got Nagaraj Shetty back on the line. Nagaraj, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we left off on a cliffhanger. Basically, when your audio went out, you were talking about, I think, the large cap companies that you would buy in the market today. Let's hear your top picks in any case.
Yeah, I'll continue that mid caps and small caps along with the large caps are outperforming in today's session. I have two picks from the mid and large cap segment. First one is Fluorochem. Chartically, if you look at the Fluorochem, has been in a consolidation mode over the last couple of sessions after showing a sharp up move in the previous week. Currently placed at the resistance of around 37.50 levels. I'm expecting a decisive upside breakout of this resistance in the near term. One can look to buy around current market around 36.12. The target would be around 37.50, and 3500 is going to be the stop loss. The next one is Escorts. We have seen Escort was showing a high volatility recently, and it has bounced back sharply from the lower levels in today's session. Currently placed to move above the consolidation around 3130 odd levels. I'm expecting this to move up further. One can look to buy at current market, which is around 3131 for the stocks, and 3300 is going to be the upside target. One can place a stop loss at 3000.
Nagaraj, sorry, we missed your first stock. What was the first stock and what are the levels thereof?
Yeah. First stock was the fluorochemicals, Gujarat Fluorochemicals,
Gujarat
currently
Fluorochem.
trading around 3610 levels.
Okay, let's pull up Gujarat Fluorochem. That's the other one. And there, Nagaraj, you have buy with a target of?
Yeah, buy with the target of 3750 and one can place a stop loss at 3500.
Okay, 3750 stop loss of 3500. Point noted. Nagaraj, thanks for that. Stay on, so much more to talk about. The stock of the day, though now on hindsight is just about 1.5% lower, so may not have been. But otherwise, for the better part of the day, was Bajaj Auto or is Bajaj Auto. The company reported numbers. There's some key takeaways of the con call as well. And my colleague Puneet joins in to give us a snapshot of some of the key statements that came out of the investor call. Puneet, good afternoon.
Hi Niraj, good afternoon. So as you rightly said, really strong earnings from Bajaj Auto. Revenue upwards of 29% growth compared to last year, while EBITDA and PAT grew roughly around 30 to 34%. Now the management also for financial year 24, highest ever revenue, EBITDA, PAT, KTM volumes, Triumph volumes, you name it, it was breaking those records. Now we just looked at a few data points that the company had given. Now for three-wheeler specifically, the industry has seen big growth in the last year, up 54%. The management has guided that it won't be such a big growth compared to this financial year, but is expecting positive momentum going forward. Do note that in the CNG three-wheelers, it has an 88% market share, so a really strong player in the three-wheelers and is expecting good growth there as well. Now, on market share, the company said that above the 125cc, which is roughly like the 75% of all vehicles sold by Bajaj, they have a 27% market share, up from roughly 21% last year, and now is the number 2 player there, just 2% below the number 1 player. While also the one key important update was that it has received PLI certificates for all its three-wheelers as well as its two-wheelers. Now this was key for it to get unit level economics right, and the management also mentioned that for three-wheelers it will achieve benefits of this PLI which will lead to profitability, but for two-wheelers it is still some time to go to get the unit level profitability even after these PLI benefits have kicked in. On capital infusion, they have invested roughly 2,250 crores. Well, it has got approval to invest this over the next few months in a phased manner into Bajaj Auto Credit. Now, this is the financing arm of the company. Do know that earlier on that Bajaj Finance had said that they will be looking at to tie up with other players as well. So Bajaj had taken the call to start investing into this and helping finance. A key data point that the company gave: 75% of all two-wheelers sold are financed, and out of that, this 70% is done by Bajaj Finance itself. So of course that the company had to take a step forward, and they have given that update of 2,250 crores of investments. And finally, what to look forward to. The company said that it had 9 launches in FY24 and it is expecting 6 more launches in just the next 3 to 4 months, while it is also expected to launch the world's first CNG motorcycle in the month of June. It is expecting the biggest Pulsar to launch in the next few months, along with the biggest KTM as well. So for bike enthusiasts, this is a great time, as well as increasing the Chetak presence from roughly 200 stores to 600 stores. It sold roughly 1 lakh scooters this year, while Triumph will also be scaled up to 150 stores. One key data point which is very interesting is that the quadricycle Qute will now be exported to markets like Egypt, where they have banned the three-wheelers. So just some excitement there coming on that particular vehicle as well. But yeah, overall really good set of numbers for Bajaj Auto. Brokerages have been decently positive as well. Back to you.
Yeah, you're seeing a bit of selling pressure because remember the stock price had run up as well. So are these numbers priced in is the question. Thank you for that, Puneet, and for that analysis. Let's just listen into what Bajaj Auto's Rakesh Sharma said when he spoke with us today. He talked about the growth drivers for the company.
If I have to sort of single out a couple of things which have driven this record performance, the first is really the progress we have made in the upper half of the motorcycle industry, which is the 125cc plus segment. Here, our flagship brand is Pulsar. We've had a slew of launches over the last 6-7 months. And I must say that all of them have been accepted very well in the market. So we have now almost 18 models which are spanning the entire top half of the industry.
Nagraj, wanted to know your take on Bajaj Auto and if you like anything else in the two-wheeler or four-wheeler pack. But let's start with Bajaj Auto. Numbers are good fundamentally. The question is it overvalued? What are the charts telling you?
Long-term charts are still positive, continuously moving up. Higher tops and higher bottoms is visible on the chartically and currently showing consolidation pattern. I'm not expecting any bigger decline from here onwards. Around 8650, 8700 is going to be the immediate support for this stock, and I'm expecting eventually this stock would move up in the near term. At the higher levels, around 9450, 9500 is going to be the next resistance for this stock.
We'll take a very quick break right now at this point, but just a quick look at what markets are doing before we get into that break. And I must say it's looking fairly decent here, 22,120 levels and above right now on the Nifty. Bank Nifty 0.75% up as well. IT is the one that's lagging, sulking possibly because of emphasis. Very quick break. But on the other side, we're talking with MM Forgings and a lot more coming up. Stay tuned.
As voting day is at our doorstep, I want to take a moment to talk to you about the importance of voting. Every citizen has a right and an obligation to vote, and each one of us can shape the future of the country by exercising our votes. I'm going to be able to do that by signing this pledge, and you must do the same.
Back with India market close right here on NDTV Profit. A lot of conversation around global PMIs moving up, as a result of which the belief might be that because manufacturing activity might pick up, that CV demand in general, US, Europe, some parts of Asia, India might pick up, which in turn has an impact on forging companies. It might be interesting to get in a view about this from Mr. Vidyashankar Krishnan. He's chairman and managing director of MM Forgings. The stock is up 7% today, has been active for the last few days. Mr. Krishnan, great having you. Thanks for taking the time out.
Hi, Niraj. Nice to be here.
Yeah, no, lovely having you. I remember a conversation some time back wherein we had spoken about replacement demand in Europe being strong enough to keep forging demand steady for 12 to 18 months. I'm adding a layer of rising PMIs, rising factory activity, and possibly therefore higher CV demand as well. Are you sensing that? Is business picking up or looking strong globally?
I'd like to split the global market into kind of four areas. The first, let's talk about the US. North American truck sales is expected to be very strong in 2024, right up to the middle or end of 2025. So that's a real positive market. South America is also doing pretty strong on the CV side. Europe is kind of moribund. Partly, I would say the long distance traffic between Russia and Western Europe has crawled to nothing. So you see that Europe is doing sluggish. India is right now, we have had a very, very lean fourth quarter, almost I would say non-existent fourth quarter like. But the first quarter of this year is reasonably strong on the CV side because bus demand is pretty strong in India, right across the country, across manufacturers, probably due to the missed COVID years, and replacements are catching up now.
So, Mr. Krishnan, without getting into what you will do for the quarter because you will be in a silent period, just trying to understand all of these factors put together, what's the extent of growth that one can expect, let's say, year on year for, let's say, FY25? Do you expect a moderate 10-15% uptick, or do you expect it to be even stronger?
See, this growth rate depends upon each player. And one is the overall trend of the market, whether it goes up or goes down, and we would have to be modulated by the market. The other is that what other new products are we launching across markets, and the forging industry is not all just a CV play, right? So about all the serious players, 80% or so is CV dependent. Take your pick, 60 to 80%. But the rest of it is also fast car, tractors, and so on. So there is some good variety over there.
Mr. Krishnan, good afternoon. Tamanna here, and great to speak with you. Since the context is positive, you've had construction activity pick up, you've had manufacturing pick up, and obviously CVs have also been doing well. I just want to get a sense of what this quarter is looking like for you. I know it's your silent period, etc. But are you seeing a positive trend overall and looking like you will hit all your margins which you have guided?
Overall, I would say first quarter is pretty positive.
Okay, that was brief.
I can talk about the first quarter. That's not an issue. It's about the previous quarter. That's a silent period. So the first quarter is reasonably positive.
Okay.
Considering that that the bus demand in India is picking up.
Yeah.
Has picked up, not just is picking up, has picked up.
Right.
So considerably. And some of our customers are talking about their defense forays coming in very strong. So all told, I would say the first quarter is...
sector are you seeing firing? What sector are you seeing firing the most? Is it commercial vehicle? Is it defense you mentioned? Or can you just give us a sense of what are the areas that are firing?
Defense has gone through the roof, but defense as a percentage of the pack is a very small piece. So defense can't contribute too much to the top, the top line. Right. But it's moving forward very, very consistently, and Q1 is slated to jump for us.
Okay, so that's
through our customers, not direct defense. It's through our customers.
Yeah, no, of course. I just want to get a sense, now that we are in election season, you're going to have a new government, possibly policy continuity, etc. And a lot of schemes have been announced. For example, the PM e-bus Seva, there's going to be a fleet of electric buses, more move on public transport, etc. Does that augur well for you, Mr. Krishnan?
Yeah, it augurs well for us because we supply to largely, right now our sales to the CV market is on the axle side. So we are inured to the EV penetration in the CV market in India. So that's not going to have a negative impact on us. And in any case, if you see, EV buses are so highly priced that it's going to be largely on a seeding basis, get public opinion around, and then move forward. It's not going to be, come in and then take over the market all on one day.
So with say a Musk coming next week, all the focus is on EV. I just wanted to get your sense of what this means for the industry and for an MM Forgings. I think important point that you made there. You're immune to the EVification or so of the space. So good tidings in that sense.
Yeah, Tesla coming here is definitely a good sign for the auto market in India in general. Let's face it, the auto market is, the pass car market particularly, is going to be seeing a lot of volatility because of EV penetration and the mix of fuels towards green. So we have battery EVs, we have fuel cell EVs that are not so very popular right now, but possibly in design and test labs. And then we have hydrogen combustion engines coming up. The penetration of all these things is going to make a very, very curious and interesting mix of powertrains in the months and years to come.
Mr. Krishnan, one final question. When I see how well you've done post FY21, you can ignore the 2 COVID years, but the growth in operational metrics, in revenues, etc., has been very, very strong. Do you expect such a pace can continue? I mean, the TTM 12-month numbers also almost as steady as FY23 was over FY22. Do you expect this pace of growth to continue on a higher base?
I would expect growth to continue. See, we've grown from 500 crores around pre-COVID years and to around 1,500 plus in the last couple of years. So we expect strong growth in the months and years to come. But being a tier 2 or a tier 1 player, depending upon the customer, we are naturally, we take the form of or the speed that our customers run at. And therefore, we see that this will be subject to overall market conditions. Subject to that, we see reasonable strong growth in the next couple of years for sure.
I'm just stretching it. Last question. I'm just stretching it. One last question. Reasonable strong growth ranges from 10% to 99%, even if it's double digits. So just trying to get some sense.
Let's say something in the region of around upper teens.
Upper teens.
CAGR.
Yeah, fair call. Okay, Mr. Krishnan, wish you all the best. And when your numbers do come out, we'll look forward to talking to you again.
Fantastic. Thank you, Niraj and Tamanna.
All right. That's MM Forgings. Not quite impacted by the EVification, as he said, but expect upper teens growth. And it's interesting, Tamanna, that you look at the pure forging companies, because Bharat Forge is now anything but a forging company, but a Happy Forging, MM Forging, etc. Just the differential valuation differential that exists is so stark that sometimes it doesn't surprise when stocks suddenly wake out of a deep slumber and just suddenly spike up, as MM Forging seems to have done this week. I mean, 1 month return 24%, 21%, 7-day return 21%.
Wow.
The last 2 days, it's just had a very big spike.
I think some big investors also perhaps
very likely,
likely coming in, and that would also have an interesting view. But what was the good takeaway is, and I thought interesting takeaway, of course, small part of their revenue, but the way he's described the defense portion just zooming up. And that's a bigger theme to actually explore. Make in India defense, what companies it impacts, and the ancillaries it impacts as well. So a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. Nagaraj, before we take that break, a quick word on MM Forgings. The last 2 or 3 days has seen a bit of a spike. Can it do more, or is the juice out already?
Yeah, it has moved up quite well, 23% up more in a week. is quite a strong move. And we have seen this stock has moved within a broader range of 850 to 1050, 1060 level in the past as well. And whenever the stock has reached the 1060, 70 level, it has witnessed a reasonable downward correction. I'm expecting some consolidation is likely to occur from here onwards because it has moved up swiftly from the lower levels. Small range movement or a consolidation or a small dip 1000 towards the 1000 or 980 is expected in the near term.
All right, thank you for that, Nagraj. Just before you go, are there any BTST calls that you want to add? BTS Monday, I suppose, but any calls that you want to add? Because because this is also going to be a weekend which is a little stressful in terms of you don't know what's going to happen geopolitically in the next 2 days. Is there anything that you would bet on?
Yeah, I'm continuing with the same call I mentioned, Gujarat Fluorochemicals, technically looking very strong, and it has shown a resilient move during this volatile broader market, even benchmark Nifty, as well as the Escort, which has given a strong upside momentum in the short term. So both the stocks are looking positive with the same target and stop loss.
So sticking to those calls. Thank you so much, Nagraj. Always great to have you on the show. We'll take a very quick break, but on the other side, we're getting you a preview into HDFC Bank ahead of its Q4 numbers and the latest from the F&O side of things. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Rohit Kapoor. I'm the CEO of Food Marketplace at Swiggy. At Swiggy, we are in the business of offering our consumers a wide choice, convenience, and a multitude of options to choose from. Voting is something similar. It's about exercising your choice, exercising it responsibly, thoughtfully, after going through all the options that you have. So I will encourage all the employees at Swiggy, all our delivery partners, everyone at large, their families, and all of us, all consumers to come out, and those who are eligible, vote and exercise your choice and make India always a better place than it was yesterday, because we all owe it to the nation and to ourselves. Thank you.
welcome back. It's feeling like TGIF a little bit, considering that it was quite a somber morning and a fear-filled morning. Things have improved on the Nifty as well. Just quickly pull up and look at what the intraday chart is looking like. Agam is joining us as well. Agam, that optimism can be seen very clearly, isn't it?
I'm sure a lot of bulls are heaving a sigh of relief. They've finally got what they wanted, but they've had to wait for a very long week. And this one was a one with a holiday. A lot of weakness earlier on has now been covered. Of course, there were some shots into the system which are now unwinding, which is explained by the unwinding of a decline of around nearly 6.5% in the open interest as far as the Nifty futures go. The Bank Nifty futures, again, that's where we did see a lot of traction coming in, up 1% and a decline of 10% in open interest. Short covering seen there as well. As we move into another week, another very volatile trading week, or at least that's what the expectation is. Well, this is, of course, in terms of change in OI. Naturally, a lot of traders took this as an opportunity to go and sell puts, which is why the red bars are a lot higher as compared to the green bars. Red bars, of course, are the ones where we seen a lot of put writing coming through around those strikes. And moving on to your overall open interest distribution picture, it seems at the moment that participants are betting against the Nifty closing below 22,000 in the upcoming week expiry, which is based on the max OI that we have in the 22,000 put. On the higher end, of course, we're going to continue to see changes as far as your call max OI is concerned, but for now it stays with 22,500. Let's move on and talk about stocks as well. Well, shorts for M&M Financial, L&T Tech, Bajaj Auto, and IGL and Syngene International, on the other hand, looking at longs. And among stocks which are seeing unwinding, we have long unwinding for Exide, Aurobindo Pharma, TCS, along with Gujarat Gas. Bharti Airtel, on the other hand, looking at about a short covering. Mixed market, but it does seem like we're ending this truncated week on a positive note, and I reckon that will be something that bulls will take with both hands.
All right, definitely. The fact that you're ending on a positive note is something that will be seen, and I think your bank's financials leading that three. Deepan Mehta is joining us now. He's founder and director of Elixir Equities. Brijesh of Retail Research IDBI Cap is also with us. Brijesh Ale, I hope I'm saying it correctly. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Is also joining us now on the show. Welcome to both of you. Deepan, let me begin with your take on the Bank Nifty and also on HDFC Bank. We're going to be seeing those numbers coming up. We'll have a preview shortly from my colleague Vishwanath Nair, but I just want to understand how you're feeling about the banking space and an HDFC Bank right now.
Yeah, good afternoon, Tamanna, and thank you for having me on your show. I think we are positive on HDFC Bank. The Q4 update was very optimistic, and maybe the bank has turned the corner as far as its performance is concerned. At least the stock price seems to have found a bottom and is gradually moving up from there. Generally, if you're positive on the Indian economy and corporate earnings, and so many industries are doing well, like real estate, capital goods, and automobiles, then demand for credit will be strong. And as of now, the NPA cycle hasn't turned negative. So keeping that in mind, we are positive on banks and Bank Nifty, and also particularly positive on HDFC Bank and other peer group banks, which have underperformed for the last so many years or so. And such underperformance cannot last forever. It has to reverse, because at the end of the day, these are essentially growth companies with very good earnings visibility as well.
What about Wipro? We saw Infosys get the brunt of it, I suppose, and a bit of recovery, I think, from its lowest levels. Wipro is expected, and broadly, the street's not expecting much. How would you look at a Wipro right now, Deepan, and the IT results that you've seen so far?
Well, I think both Infosys and TCS were not that great. And even the commentary coming from the management was not as optimistic as we expected it to be. I think there is some more stagnancy in corporate earnings of tech companies for maybe 2 or 3 more quarters. And then let us see how the tech spending picks up globally. It's also not very clear whether this AI and related generative AI technologies, how much they're going to contribute to higher tech spendings.
So looking at the entire picture and the way geopolitics is playing out, as also the fact that U.S. economy, the Fed is just not looking at reducing interest rates, so that may have a pressure on U.S. economy, and that may affect tech spends as well. So the picture is not that clear at this point of time. So let's just wait and watch. In any case, companies which are growing at 1 or 2% quarter on quarter will never really interest investors who are looking for an alpha in their portfolios, and that certainly doesn't seem to be provided by large cap software shares at this point of time.
Okay, well, so that's HDFC Bank and Wipro. And speaking of HDFC Bank, before we get in Brijesh's view out there, let me get in our banking editor Vishwanath Nair to tell us what is it that would be the key monitorables for HDFC Bank as they report the numbers tomorrow. Vishy, what are you watching out for?
Right, Niraj. So it's all about the deposits. Now, at the end of the day, HDFC Bank did suffer during the last quarter, the December quarter, because of their deposit number. It didn't grow as per what the market was largely expecting. And now, when you look at for the March quarter, the provisional numbers that the bank has put out, there are signs of improvement. Deposits have risen about 7.5% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, compared to a loan growth of about 1.6% QOQ. So things are looking better, even though that boost on that 7.5% is coming from the wholesale deposit portfolio, something that the bank had said previously that they were very price sensitive and they don't want to be in the pricing game, but we need to see how that weighs on the net interest margin. Now, as far as the street expectations go, net profit is estimated about 17,900 to 18,000 odd crore during the January-March quarter. The net interest income is going to be largely stable, flat quarter on quarter, simply because advances are not really growing that fast. And on the net interest margin side, we are still expecting some contraction, about 10 bips odd of contraction that is expected on the NIM side. We need to see how the management is guiding for the next financial year and FY25, what exactly is going to happen, because that advances growth being slower may look good for now, but eventually as the system starts to gear up, things may not look so good for HDFC Bank later on.
All right, so those are the concerns as far as HDFC Bank is concerned. Thank you for that, Vishy. Brijesh, any take on an HDFC Bank?
I believe there has been a recovery in the HDFC Bank. So and the 50-day moving average is at 1550. So my understanding is positive. I think it can go back to 1600 levels over the next couple of days. So view remains positive. So somebody wants to take a risk, I think it's better taking instead of taking a risk, I think doing a long straddle, taking the call and put of the same strike price of 1530 would be more advisable from the overnight positional point of view.
Okay. HDFC Bank, and it's all about HDFC Bank really. If you look at the contributors list, really, I mean, what's happening to the Nifty, a part of it is being led by HDFC Bank. Dipan, I know you gave an answer on this one, but I just want to ask this again. If HDFC Bank manages to surprise on the upside, on deposits, on LDR, on a couple of other factors, would you be tempted to go out and invest into HDFC Bank, or would you believe there are better banks out there to invest in?
No, I think depends on the risk appetite of the investor. So if you don't have HDFC Bank in your portfolio, and there are a few portfolios which don't have HDFC Bank, and you have a risk-averse kind of temperament, then I think this is a good time to tank up on HDFC Bank. It will be a steady performer over the next several years or so. And I suspect over the longer run, it will certainly match the returns of the Sensex and Nifty and even provide some alpha over there. So yes, I think positive on HDFC Bank, but one cannot get overboard or overweight in that particular counter. And one needs to keep a good balance between HDFC Bank, other banking stocks, and the rest of your portfolio.
By the way, just pull up that, just before we get into the other big story, just pull up the contributors list right now. And I just want to make that point. If you leave out HDFC Bank, which is 63 points, yes, you shave off a significant part of the gain on the Nifty, but it still be in the green. So yes, it's HDFC Bank largely, but a lot of others are participating. Airtel a case in point, ICICI Bank a case in point. The only thing which is not participating, Tamanna, is autos. It's quite interesting that it's not doing that ahead of the big visit.
Oh, absolutely. I think I don't know if it's great news for the auto companies ahead of the big visit. And the big visit we're talking about is Elon Musk, expected to visit India over the next week. Monday onwards, we will be seeing him there. Remember, just talking about auto companies, a few years ago, when Musk first wanted to come to India, it was our own OEMs who were all up in arms that, don't let him come, please encourage Make in India. Well, he is definitely set to come here. Tushar is tracking all things Musk. Tushar, you're on the Musk beat for the next couple of days. We've been coming up with corny names of how to welcome Musk to India. But tell us what we know so far. What is he going to do here? How long is he here for? Where is he going? And who is he meeting?
So thank you for that, Tamanna. So Elon Musk is essentially coming to India with the promise of cars, internet from the skies, as well as space technology, if you want to have it. So his trip to India will be for 2 days, spread over 20th to 22nd, the week of the 22nd, for 48 hours. Essentially, he'll begin the trip by meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi, following which he's expected to make an announcement of Tesla's investment plans in India. So what is exactly on the agenda? First of all, Tesla's India plans. Musk is expected to unveil plans to invest about $2 to $3 billion for a Tesla plant in India. Is also plans to export from the country. So essentially, location is important. The three likely locations, what the reports are saying so far, are Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Tamil Nadu, all of which have access to a port because they're coastal states, as well as well-developed automotive hubs. India, to bring in Tesla, India has actually tweaked its EV policy, which reduces the import duty on cars, electric cars, to 15% from 70 to 100% earlier. That was actually the sticking point for Tesla to enter India, and it was actually lobbying with New Delhi to reduce this import duty on electric cars. That now has happened, so we now have Musk coming in. Tesla already is manufacturing, as we know, right-hand drive cars at its plant in Berlin. Now, this is specifically for the India market, so these cars will eventually come to India. A made in India Tesla car, while Tesla has ruled out that it is going to make a cheaper car, a made in India Tesla may not be that far-flung an expectation. It may just come out to be about rupees 25 lakh, that's what, rupees $20,000 or some such. Indian automakers are unlikely to be immediately impacted by these companies, the likes of Tata Motors, who's the market leader in the electric car space, or Mahindra & Mahindra, or Maruti Suzuki. But it will be a big development for the auto auxiliaries in Samvardhana Motherson Sumi, Sansera, RK Forgings, Inamdar, Sona Comstar. All of these can benefit from the localization angle of the EV policy. Remember, anybody who's setting up a plant in India with an investment of $500 million has to achieve 50% localization in 5 years. So here's where all the auto auxiliaries will step in. Tesla also is reportedly in tie-up with Tata Electronics to make components for its locally made cars. So that's the cars angle. In terms of the Starlink portfolio of Elon Musk, Starlink is also being in discussions with the Indian government to enter the market. Remember, it's a market dominated by Airtel and Reliance Jio, both of whom also have access to, have received approvals for satellite internet, but they don't have the spectrum yet. So we can now see a battle between Starlink, Airtel OneWeb, and Reliance Jio. The third agenda can be the space tech space. He's supposedly going to meet local startups, space startups such as Dhruva Space, Pixel, Skyroot, Digantra, and Anukul when he's here. In precursor to his visit, India has actually tweaked its FDI policy for the space sector ahead of his visit. Tamanna.
All right. So we're going to be, of course, tracking all things Musk over the next few days and see what really comes out of it. It's interesting. Tesla's India entry is being talked about at a time when they are having to let go of people worldwide. Their sales numbers are not looking that great, but then, of course, India is that new frontier. How much a Tesla will work here is a different story altogether. but definitely an up for the entire ecosystem. Wondering if Deepan and Brijesh want to come in. Deepan, first on autos. And I'll start with Bajaj Auto. Before we get to a Tesla, let's talk about, Hamara Bajaj. Good numbers, but the streets responded by saying, let's, sell off now and book some profits. How do you look at a Bajaj Auto?
I think there's a sell-on news kind of syndrome playing out over here. And this will repeat itself in a lot of other auto shares. Last few months, auto shares have been rallying. Last few weeks, more so on account of good quarterly numbers. Bajaj Auto already has reported a great set of numbers. And now going forward, I think one cannot expect the same kind of growth rates. Industry, they say, is expected to grow by 7-8% or so. And to a large extent, rising average selling prices have also got discounted. There could be some pressure on operating profit margins on account of higher raw material costs as well. So I think it's going to get a bit tough for auto companies, and what they reported for last 3-4 quarters. Certainly you will see some kind of slowdown taking place over there. Now that order book positions also have dwindled because of better supplies. And valuations are not cheap anymore for the auto sector, having seen such kind of a rally. So from that point of view, our view on auto and Bajaj Auto in particular is neutral. And at best, they will give returns in line with the Sensex and Nifty.
And just to take that conversation forward that we were having with Tushar a couple of minutes ago, Deepan, on, you've had a clutch of auto anchs really jump up with the anticipation of what a Tesla in India means, who could get some work here because they have to make in India, others will also come in. Any take there or anything you're liking in that auto anch space?
Well, Tamanna, I think we've been positive on companies like Minda Corp, Minda Industries, Varroc Engineering, Endurance Technologies, and most importantly, Sona BLW. But Sona BLW remains very, very expensive. It's kind of an aspirational stock that whenever valuations are at reasonable levels, one could look at buying into that company. So these are the companies, I think, which generally benefit from A, exports, B, there could be tier 1 suppliers to Tesla or any new player coming into India. Mind you, BYD also has entered India. So it could be them or some of the existing OEMs which are ramping up their EV space for domestic and export market. And also, I think these companies have got products which don't get impacted so much because of the shift to electrification in the transportation sector. So yes, one of the ways to play this entire EV investment trend could be through these companies which I just named. But as I said, I think, we are getting into an earnings season. There could be a lot of stock-specific volatility. Could be some disappointments also as far as these auto ancillaries are concerned. So just wait and watch. Let this earnings season play out and then take a call on any auto ancillary or auto OEM for that matter.
Okay. Well, actually, on that auto, Brijesh, any thoughts here? Some of the auto stocks have done well. We were talking to MM Forgings earlier, Ramakrishna Forgings, some others. Any of the other OEMs? Is there a thought? Is there a trade?
So I think from the auto space, there are two picks, which I believe it is going to see some good upside momentum. One would be the escorts, which has been the favorite in like today when the market was correcting from the start of the morning. This was one which was picking up the momentum. So structure for the escorts from the from the weekly and monthly perspective is quite positive. I think we should be talking of another 200, 250 points plus move on the escorts. So I believe somebody wants to take a long position with today's low as a stop loss. I think they should be taking a long trade in the escorts. Secondly, if you watch Eicher Motors, this is a little bit of heavy stock, but then this never corrected with the market, and there was a good amount of breakout during the start of April month. It's a very strong breakout which we have seen, and I think in times to come, this Eicher Motors can easily go back to 5,000 plus level. It will a little bit of a longer time frame, but then definitely both these stocks, even if the market corrects, even if the auto space corrects, I see very limited downside in this particular stock. So both remains the very strong buy trade setup, Escorts and Eicher Motors.
Okay, and a BTST from you, Brijesh, or an STBT as the case may be?
So in that case, I think Jindal Steel is something which in the last 15-20 minutes has picked up the volume. So currently it is trading at 928. So I believe we will see some 15-20 points move by Monday. Until we don't see any major gap down in the market, I am pretty confident that this should work. So Jindal Steel at current level with the stop loss of 915, we can talk of 950 levels on the higher side, 950.
Okay. Brijesh, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for taking the time out and being with us and giving us your perspective. Really appreciate your time. Dipan, just finally, very quickly, since metals have come up, are you constructive metals currently or are you avoiding them?
No, I think, as I said, we are cautious on the market and therefore don't want to look at anything in, that enthusiastically at this point of time, wait for the earnings season. But yeah, there are some very, I would say, influential voices which feel that we could be entering into a commodity super cycle, considering the way gold and crude oil has rallied. So it's certainly possible for metal stocks and metal prices to move up. But then, one needs to be a bit selective which stocks to buy. And when you look at the entire spectrum, apart from Vedanta, the steel companies, are still quite expensive on a historical basis, what the valuations were. And then there are the PSUs like, say, NBFC and Steel Authority, which continue to disappoint when it comes to numbers. So it's an evolving situation, and we just want to stay put for the time being.
Anything on your shopping list at all, Deepan?
No, Tamanna.
Nothing. Not even in HDFC if numbers are good.
The only thing on the shopping list is a pizza when you want to watch IPL. That's all.
So then Zomato, maybe. All right. On that note, TGIF, thank you so much for joining us, Deepan, and have a great weekend. Meanwhile, while we're looking at a fairly good close, I would say a very good close considering where we started for the markets. Remember, poll season is also underway. First phase polling is on today. And you also had Home Minister Amit Shah filing his nomination from the Gandhinagar seat. Now, in an exclusive interview with NDTV's Vasudha Venugopal, Amit Shah says that the BJP is hoping for its best ever performance in southern India in this election. Listen it.
देखिए, रोड शो में सबसे स्पेशल बात ये थी कि मैं उस क्षेत्र में रोड शो कर रहा था जहां मैंने पोस्टर चिपकाए हैं, पार्टी के लिए वॉल पेंटिंग किया है। यही क्षेत्र से मैं बहुत छोटे कार्यकर्ता से यहां तक पहुंचा हूं। 30 साल से यहीं की जनता मुझे विधायक भी बनाई, सांसद भी बनाई, पार्टी का अध्यक्ष में भी मैं बना, देश का गृह मंत्री बना, मोदी जी का साथी बनकर गुजरात में और देश में उनके मंत्रिमंडल का हिस्सा रहा। ये मेरे लिए बहुत गर्व की बात है और मैं आज मानता हूं कि मेरे जीवन में गांधीनगर की जनता का प्रेम और आशीर्वाद बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। कल जिस प्रकार से हर उम्र की माताओं बहनों ने आकर 7 साल की बच्ची से लेकर 91 साल की माता तक पुष्प बरसाए और आशीर्वाद दिया है, भले वो शायद 100 मीटर दूर मुझसे खड़ी हो, मगर मेरे लिए बड़ा भावुक क्षण था।
अमित भाई, देश का पहला फेज पोलिंग शुरू हो गया है। साउथ पे सबसे ज़्यादा फोकस मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है। साउथ से क्या उम्मीदें हैं सर इस बार? देखिए,
इस बार हम साउथ में मुझे लगता है कि हमारा सबसे अच्छा प्रदर्शन करेंगे। तमिलनाडु, तेलंगाना, केरल, आंध्र, कर्नाटक, ये चारों राज्यों में हमारा मजबूत प्रदर्शन होगा। दक्षिण में पहली बार मोदी जी की पॉपुलैरिटी इस स्तर पर पहुंच चुकी है जो अब चुनावी नतीजों में कन्वर्ट होगी। हमारी वोट शेयर तो 14 में भी बढ़ी, 19 में भी बढ़ी थी, मगर हम उस स्तर पर नहीं पहुंचे थे जिससे सीट बन पाए। इस बार मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि सीटें भी बनेगी और बड़ी संख्या में हमारे साथी वहां से चुन कर आएंगे।
Well, it'll be interesting to see on June 2nd and then on June 4th what the actual numbers come. June 2nd, the exit polls, and June 4th, the actual results. Okay, let's start wrapping up the markets. Good day for the Nifty, really. You didn't expect this at the start of the trading day. Anything but this, by the way. This is a big surprise for the most optimistic of people, to be very honest. Yes, mid caps and small caps have not participated, but little to lose out there. Very quickly, just the snapshot of the Nifty, and then we'll of course wrap up the markets. And Tamanna will bring up the mid caps and small caps. But very quickly, just the Nifty 50 snapshot, the heat map, and just see that. I mean, this rise is very strong. And we know the usual suspects. HDFC Bank right up there, 2.66% higher. one principal reason, in addition to multiple others, of course, the likes of ICICI, Bajaj Finance, etc. But it's HDFC Bank which has led this big move higher. And amongst the losers, Bajaj Auto in or around the low point of the day. But Tamanna, I dare say Nestle too, with 1.32% low, arguably one of the weakest hands in this week.
You know, because for Nestle, even though their exchange filing said that there's no material impact of that whole study, the fact is all of the agencies have now gotten onto it. You have NCPCR saying, Fasai, please give me a report in 7 days whether there is this much content of sugar. So it's a long battle ahead. But yes, I would absolutely agree that in terms of a market close, a spectacular change. We should pull up the sectoral indices and tell you what worked. And it's all BFSI, it's all HDFC Bank. It's the might of HDFC Bank pulling this entire market, I think, today. Finance, bank, and those indices are doing the best. On the lower side, I would say reality, media showing a bit of pain. IT largely because of an Infosys, and we'll see what Wipro has to offer. Just a quick look at how small cap and mid cap indices have also closed at the end of this tumultuous week. Let's see what happens over this weekend, but a bit of trepidation, a knock on the mid-cap index towards the end. Can we pull up the intraday chart of the Nifty mid-cap? Because I just want to see where that hit has come and at what point. And yeah, no, you've seen a bit of weakness through the day, perhaps not as much of a recovery as on the other side. I think, Niraj, to my mind, a few of standout kind of movers today, Motilal Oswal, a Just Dial,
yet again,
you know,
yes.
yeah.
MM Forgings.
MM Forgings has done very well. Just Dial on the back of its numbers. Motilal Oswal bonus share hopes over there. And Elon Engineering did very well today in trade. And we should pull up and see where Elon was at the end of it. 11.5%. That spike coming. Good numbers as well. And as well, that's that stock split story. But all about the numbers next week. Result season was the slow build up. We go into that sprint next week.
Most certainly. Well put, Tamanna. And FMCG, IT, right in the thick of things next week. But, of course, the election season underway, and we'll get you daily updates on all our shows as well. But for now, from Tamanna and me and the team that put this show together, thanks so much for watching and have a great weekend. Well, it was a good end to what was likely going to be a very bad day for the markets. And we're seeing about 151 points up for the Nifty at close, which was not thinkable when the day started, to be honest. But geopolitics pressures eased off a little bit. Mid caps and small caps in the red, but the small cap index did recover very smartly intraday as well. So while mid caps 0.5% lower, small caps just about flatlining. And one of the key reasons was what banks did. So Bank Nifty, Nifty Finance, what have you, that index did really well for itself, courtesy a clutch of things, including HDFC Bank. So pull up the heat map and then pull up the weightages, weightage-wise performance. But the heat map shows you a story. Bajaj Finance, HDFC Bank, there is a Bajaj Finserv, there is an ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, SBI. So a lot of banking names did well. Aside of that, some autos participated. M&M and Maruti in particular had a good move. Wipro ahead of the numbers had a good move as well. And a lot of green. Very little red. Two things. Bajaj Auto sulked a bit in trade today after the numbers, 2.5% lower. Nestle for the week has looked slightly wobbly, so sulking a little bit as well. And some bit of tech with HCL Tech, TCS and LTIM. So tech kind of remained that large cap index that didn't do well. But the contributors list, as I said, and you will see HDFC as well as ICICI Bank, the two names doing really well. Bharti did really well. For the week though, Bharti is amongst the best performers, up 5%. What didn't do well, L&T and IT and Bajaj Auto was the principal reason why the markets didn't do what they did. Now the mid caps and BSE 500, that's the last plate. And if you pull up the BSE 500, maybe we'll have a couple of individual movers, but shows you what moved. Motilal Oswal, big brokerage names, by and large, have done really well. In today's session as well, we had some of them do well. Just Dial, second in a trot, good numbers, impact being seen. This is symptomatic of what's happening to select chemical space. Anupam Rasayan, RKN, Gujarat Fluoro doing well. What didn't do well, Tata.com, post-result reaction. Spark continues to sulk. CRISIL continues to sulk. Mastech ahead of the numbers sulked a little bit as well. And QSRs are not quite seeing those green shoots. So this was the nature of the move today. But you have to admit that heartening move for the index at least. Let's see what the weekend has in store for the markets Monday morning.